Hello and welcome to episode 14 of Hybrid Fitness Report. My name is Paul Reynolds. Jude is in the pod, just not in this introduction. We were going to be talking about the next stage in our series, looking in depth at stations from the various hybrid fitness races. But instead, we had the great pleasure this week of talking to Yancy Culp, who's the co-creator and senior director at Spartan DEKA. We had a great conversation with him, looking at how DEKA started, tales from the old abandoned Kmart in a freezing Denver 5 years ago, as they trialed and tested and changed and altered and refined and came up with the DEKA events that we enjoy today. We talked to him about DEKA's plans for global expansion in 2026 and beyond, what makes DEKA different and special. Jude forces Yancy to pick his ideal DEKA fit two-person team. Hope you enjoy this conversation with Yancy Culp. And just before we do so, thank you so much to our sponsors for this episode. WoDLETE, founded by an Ironman athlete with a passion for functional fitness, WoDLETE clothing is designed to be with you throughout your fitness journey, from starting out to competing, from beginner to elite, and with clothing and accessories to help you on your journey. Go to wodlete.co.uk. That's wodlete.co.uk for global shipping and free delivery on all UK orders over £50. So thank you again to WoDLETE for your support. Now, enjoy the interview.
Rock and roll, boys. Let's go.
So Yancy Culp from DEKA, welcome to Hybrid Fitness Report.
Thank you, boys, for having me on, man. I'm excited for this little journey we're going to have here, talking all things fitness, hybrid fitness, doing life together, all the fun stuff, man.
Especially all of our UK listeners, when they heard him speak, would just be like, what is going on?
Well, also, a lot of UK people would have seen the announcement yesterday about the big Manchester event next year.
Let's go. Yes. You know, my wild, crazy ADD brain's always got 90 million things going on and pushing forward. And we were very blessed to get Emily on the team. And she's just doing a bang up job, freaking helping us push forward with a full head of steam, her and Grant and Fran and team. So we got a lot of stuff going globally, man.
Do you want to take us back to how DEKA started?
Well, you can kind of see off my shoulder here, there's a death race bib. Back in 2019, I'm about 30 hours into what turned out to be a 72-hour Spartan death race on Joe DeSena's farm in beautiful Pittsfield, Vermont. And he's complete. There's about 300 of us started, and he's turning us inside out along with his crew. And we start talking business on the side of his mountain. And we've been collaborating and doing business together and, you know, working on things ever since. And I found myself at his farm in December 2019. We were shooting some podcasts out there, and we started talking. I said, it's crazy when you hear this stat, but about 75% of the people walking the planet have never had a gym membership. They're overweight. They're unfit. They didn't play sports growing up. They're not participating in any of the common participatory sports that are available to us out there. Marathons, half marathons, triathlons, Spartans, Tough Mudders. I could go on and on, all the things. And I would even put High Rocks in that. I've done all that stuff. I love every bit of it. If you're pulling somebody off the couch, getting somebody fit, I love it. But most people are kind of scared to death of that kind of stuff. I said, what if we created this super low barrier of entry designed for all levels of fitness event where if you can freaking walk and breathe, there's a damn good chance you'll cross the finish line. It'll be for those, we'll design it for those 80%ers that have never really, 70-80% never really had fitness in their life. And I was kind of fingers crossed in my head. And luckily, Joe being Joe, sometimes almost to a fault, he said, let's freaking do it. Let's go. And I was like, oh shit, we got to do this thing. So next thing I know, I'm on the phone with my good friend, Jared Cogswell. He's flying up to Boston, where we're in Joe's office the next day on Joe's dry erase board in Boston. And then a week or two after that, we find ourselves in Denver, Colorado, where we rented an old abandoned Kmart for 3+ months, and we murdered the plan, man. We were flying in professional CrossFit athletes and hundreds of people, 100 pounds overweight, and everybody in between. And we said, we're not leaving here until everybody's crossing the same finish line in the same arena on the same day using the exact same standards. Everybody can come together and celebrate the power of fitness. Celebrate fitness, that's something we say all the time. But that's kind of and let me back up one more notch here. So we had our first big event happening in the Denver Broncos indoor training facility, Pat Bowlen Fieldhouse. That was going to take place March 21st, I believe.
And that was what year?
That was 2020. And about a week and a half before that event,
right,
COVID ripped the rug right out from under us.
Yep.
So we had to kind of recalibrate, and we knew we wanted to do the affiliate program. Some may take this the wrong way, but we shifted and moved operations down to Florida. Florida said, we're not really participating in this COVID game. We're keeping everything open. So we're in 2020 mode for 3 or 4 months, putting on events inside gyms all up and down Florida. COVID kind of got into the rearview mirror a little bit, and other gyms across the country started bolting on the affiliate program, and then other countries. And fast forward to today, we've got, our gyms have held about 4,500 small scale DEKA events, DEKA Strongs, DEKA Miles, DEKA Atlas, the team events. That's 99% of our focus. When we're talking to a gym owner, that's our true convention center. That gym that's got 50 to 100, 150 people coming to celebrate fitness, that's the true celebration for us. We love the big events, of course, and that's a big focus of ours. But, man, anywhere from 10 to 50 events happen every weekend, and that's a dream come true for me, an old guy that's been coaching fitness and, for 30 plus years.
Backing up to the design of it, when you were coming up with it in 2019, 2020, were you aware of this tiny little European thing called High Rocks? And if so, were you consciously differentiating yourself from it? Or was it just there's a similar thing and we're just doing our own thing?
Absolutely. And I to be perfectly honest, I thought what they were doing was genius. I have actually had a relationship with Christian and team, went to the very first US event. We had a lot of great conversations. And they moved into a partnership with, I think with Ironman. I had this wild, crazy focus. Some may think I'm a nut job, but I wanted this to be about, like, as a coach for 25, 30 years, you're always trying to crack the code of why such a high percentage of people in every community, mine and yours, they're not taking care of themselves. It's like, what do we do to reach that group? What do we do to crack that code? But while also having an event that caters to the high levels, where if you look at a Ryan Kent, a Rich Ryan, or a Lauren Weeks, and a Tara Jackson, I could go on and on, where if they step up to a High Rocks or a DEKA start line, they're both going to kick their ass. They're going to get themselves turned completely inside out. But if we pull in 1,000 random people off the street and they walk into any DEKA Strong, DEKA Mile, or DEKA Fit event, our team events, 99% of them, as they are, they're going to cross the finish line. They're just going to be slower, but they're all going to earn the same medal, the same t-shirt. So that was it was a very careful process of trying to pick just, 10, in our case, 10 zones and the weight standards where if you can walk and breathe, there's a damn good chance you're going to be able to cross that finish line. And then every now and then, world championships, we'll celebrate the cyborgs, DEKA cyborgs, we like to call it. But it was really kind of changing the game, man. We wanted that sport, that globally recognized sport, truly designed for all the people that have never had the power of sport and fitness and testing their fitness before.
So the cyborg in the room had a question following up from that as well.
I was thinking, when you were talking about why it came around, you wanted to include a whole bunch of people. Was therefore your first and primary target audience the general population, and then the elite athletes were a bonus? Or was it the priority to merge the two? Or was there a preference either way, and you just happened to attract elites? Or
no, it's a great question, Jude, and honestly, 99% of the focus was on the people that have, okay, the three of us own a gym, and we've got our 200 members, and all of them have friends out there and they've never been able to talk those friends coming into the gym. Like, they've just never been able to get them, and they, people peer into the windows and they're scared to death of what happens in there. They see a fitness class and they're scared to death. And I understand that. I've been coaching, I've coached probably 5,000, 6,000 group exercise classes. I could go to a new class tomorrow at a gym that I've never been into, and I'm going to be nervous. We all are going to be a little nervous, right? So there's a very real reason. And so all the focus was about, we got to design it for them. And if we're very, very careful, we can have it to where the best of the best, the Judes of the world, will still get their ass kicked. They're gonna be challenged, and they're gonna be like, that was one of the most painful things I've ever done. But guess what? Everybody finished, and all the males did exactly what Jude did. All the females did exactly what Lauren Weeks did. That was something that was not an easy code to crack. You know, it was like those 3 to 4 months in that old abandoned Kmart. We made so many freaking changes. It's like,
can you tell us any of the stuff that you started with that you ended up leaving out in the end?
Oh, some of it was weights, different weights we moved around. We wanted it there to be some differentiators. You know, you could go with just super simple equipment, but we wanted it to feel like you were walking into a cool gym. You know, you got the basic, the rower, the ski, the air bike, like the magnetic sleds, for example, allowed us. I grew up on a farm in the middle of nowhere, Texas, where you just, you know, push-pull is just basic fitness, but you can't gamify push-pull with traditional sleds on 10 different surfaces with 50 events every weekend globally. You can't. So the magnetic sleds allowed us to have this really cool, unique piece of equipment that most gyms don't have, and allowed us to, you know, within 1 second, we can change resistance if in a group exercise class. The Rams, for example, you have things like the med ball sit-up throw and the dead ball yoke or wall over. Okay, those are optically more appealing than just a sit-up or a shoulder over. We're like, okay, but for the gym events, we don't want to force, you know, Jude and Paul own a gym. We don't want to force them to have a rebounder or a yoke or a wall. So we'll do shoulder overs and sit-ups.
That's why.
We started out with squats, weighted squats for zone 1. And then just, you know, for years of coaching and teaching and doing research, the alternating reverse lunge is, you know, when you look at DEKA, here's what we do. Super basic: lift, carry, push, pull, kneel down, stand back up, get all the way down on the ground, stand back up, press a weight above your head, get over a really basic obstacle in life, 24-inch box. By design, I get so much grief. Why is the male box the same as the female box? Why are the kids' boxes the same? It's because sometimes we got to get over the same freaking obstacle in life. It wasn't all about, I know that sounds a little crazy, but it wasn't all about perfect scaling. It was like, we're out in the woods and there's an obstacle. The whole damn family has to get over the obstacle. You know what I mean? So getting over a basic obstacle in life, and 3 rudimentary forms of transportation that have been around for thousands or hundreds of years: row, ski, and bike. In this case, the air bike. Not a single zone where you have to be taught how to do anything. It meets you where you're at right now, and it's low risk of injury. But yeah, we went with squat for a while. We changed that to lunge because what's something we do every single day of our life? You see something on the ground, you got to pick up. Naturally, one leg goes backwards, you kneel down, and you stand back up from that knelt down position. Well, let's add some weight to that. It's a beautiful full body functional fitness, works in balance, mobility, and coordination. Add some weight to it. And so I absolutely love, it's a pain in the butt, kind of like high rocks. You know, you look at some of our zones, like lunges and wall balls and whatnot. Some of those, and Jason at Deadly would tell you the same. Some of them are a pain in the butt to have judging, but really and truly, and gosh, this may be taken the wrong way, but the sport aspect is so important. But ultimately, more important than that is it a beautiful, well-rounded functional fitness test designed for the whole damn world? If we have 3,000 gyms hosting 10,000 events a year, where 99% of the population is within a short drive, walk, or Uber ride to a gym event, and they can test their fitness, and it's for everybody, and it's super functional, and you don't need, like, I can walk in, I could be at a gym event, I could be 100 pounds overweight in a pair of dress slacks and business shoes and watching my wife compete at this event, and I could say, I could get inspired and walk my ass over to the front counter, sign up, and do it with no fitness education. That was very key for us.
Exactly. And that's what I noticed, especially with DEKA, because of how many variations of, if you want to call it variations of DEKA that you have. Nothing like, there's no, so like with DEKA and these hybrid sports, what's like what you're mentioning is so good about them is like, you don't have it with football, you don't have baseball, you don't have it with any other sport other than hybrid fitness, where, like you said, you can take someone that hasn't exercised a day in their life and get them to compete at something. People like this have never had an experience of competing, but hybrid sports creates that environment where you can compete by definition and complete a race. Whereas you can't complete, a set of 20 against a tennis player if you're 100 pounds overweight and never exercised before, because just the sport doesn't work like that. Whereas with hybrid fitness, when you create a race that works like yours does with the bike, the road, the ski, you're stationary and then you're running, everyone can run or walk. People who have never competed or done something like that can find motivation through a sport like that, which I think is so cool.
Yeah, you nailed it, man. And any good fitness coach, they're either saying this or they should be saying this, and I've said it 1,000 times, is no matter who walks into the arena or to your group exercise class, we're all athletes. At a minimum, we're training for the sport of life. When you train for DEKA, you are ultimately training for the sport of life. What does that mean, Yancy? Well, I want you to wake up. Our whole DEKA team wants you to wake up when you're 40, 50, 60, 70 plus. And are you able to say yes to everything this beautiful rock of ours called planet Earth provides us? If the kids say, I want to go on an active vacation, let's say snow skiing or hiking the canyon, are you able to say yes, or do you have to say no because you're a mess? You've disrespected yourself. Maybe one day your grandkids. Are you able to do the type of work you want to do? And could you protect
Don't take
yourself?
me to a ski slope again.
Could you freaking protect yourself and your family or your friends if you needed to? That's the sport of life, ultimately, man. That's the non-debatable. And a much larger percentage of our nation is saying no to those kind of things, and probably globally, than are able to say yes to those things. And that's a sad state of affairs. And, I say all the time, 100 years ago, gyms weren't needed. Fitness clubs and fitness spaces were not needed. But now they are the beacon of light and service of the world's most powerful drug, fitness, movement, and exercise, that our communities need, man. What the work that gym owners and coaches are doing that motivate and inspire people and plant that drug and that addiction in the body is like, I got to come to class tomorrow, man. That just felt good. Dude, that's the ultimate service industry, if you ask me.
I think, just to sort of close up on that thing on this point, this whole era of hybrid fitness that we're in, maybe I'm in a bubble and it's not as big as I think it is, but for me, every single thing on my feed 24 hours a day is hybrid fitness. It has become bigger since 2017, 2019, something like that. CrossFit was around, but only since the sort of 2019 when Hyrux started getting bigger, DEKA, 2019, 2020, has there been something like this where you can get everyone involved? And I don't know how it took this long, because I know, Dad, you obviously know more about history than I do, but all it took now was this whole hybrid explosion for now kids and even adults now to really want to get into fitness because it's so accessible. And it's such a good idea to have basic functional movements paired with each other.
It's a thing. I think there's a trend over the last 50 years, because the first London Marathon, for example, was only like 81, 82 or 83 or something like that. And then there's the famous picture in the Boston Marathon of the woman someone trying to hoik a woman off the course because it was supposed to be men competing. And that's just a few decades ago. And then you start to have the rise of marathons in 80s and 90s, the advance in shoe technology, which helps massively. So people like me can run without crushing our joints. And then you got half marathons, and that takes you through the 90s and then 2000. As you say, Jude, you then got CrossFit at the turn of the millennium, and it's just bringing more and more people. So the more sedentary society becomes, the more there's a minority that are going, hang on a second, I need to do something, to Yancy's point again of just trying to drag in as many people as possible. And the fact that, as you're saying, Yancy, we need this kind of thing more than ever, because our society, our cultures naturally don't lend itself to physical activity the way it did 50 years ago or more.
Well, you hit on something that we are unbelievably proud of. You talked about, God, I feel like we should do it justice and look up her name. And I can't believe I can't remember the lady that was pulled off the course. But in the U.S., participatory sport ticket sales are about 65% males, 35% females. Since we launched DEKA, we are 50 to 51% females on the individual side and about 60 on the female side. And why is that?
Is that for sport in general?
That's for DEKA ticket sales.
DEKA,
right. So it's a dramatic shift. And why is that? Well, as a fitness business owner myself over the years, if you're not catering to females in the fitness space and in the gym space, you're crazy, because the average group exercise class is going to be about 65, 70% females. Well, most of our events take place inside the comfort of the second home where people train, and females are really good about shouting it from the rooftops. what's happening in here is good for me, and I want you to be a part of it. They're way better than us dudes at doing that. So shout out to the females. They'll drag their friends in for the team competitions. And on the team competition side, what makes that great is, you're able to, now somebody that's nervous about doing it by themselves can come in, and Jude can say, well, I'll take zone 6 or zone 3 for you, and we'll divide the other 9 zones together. So the teams has really been a unique piece of this, but we're really, really proud of how we're kind of shaking things up in that participatory sport ticket sales. And it's pretty similar at our large scale it's DEKA events as well.
That's been really apparent. I think watching Hyrox as well, where a guy will try and find someone who's basically the same and goes, as long as you're basically the same as me, we'll go together. Whereas a woman will say, here's my less fit friend. Hey, come with me. I'll make you feel better about yourself, and we'll go do this thing together. It was Catherine Switzer, 1967. Her boyfriend, basically, when the guy tried to put her off the course, her boyfriend intervened, and so she was the first. She wrote her own bib number, and she was the first official finisher of the Boston Marathon. So yeah, 58 years ago, which isn't
for
that
people
long.
like Paul and I, that doesn't seem too long ago. But for Jude, that probably seems like several centuries ago.
Or you were 20-something when that happened, Dad?
Oh, stop.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah. So I was thinking evolution of DEKA. You've had it in the UK before, but the biggest event we've had in the UK, more of a breakthrough than it's been before. Where do you see DEKA, say, in 5-10 years? Say anywhere else in the world, or are you staying where it is now?
Yeah, let's look at the UK as a microcosm right now. How cool is it that Chris and team at Clitheroe had a little small scale DEKA fit at the Castle, and then we have a large scale DEKA fit at East Midlands at a really unique, beautiful location, and then this coming year, there's going to be 3 of them. I mean, that's the type of progression you want to. Maybe I just broke some news that you guys hadn't heard yet.
I think you did. I think you just broke some news.
There's going to be more than just that one you saw in
there's the clip
in Manchester. So, but I'll zip it at that. I get myself in trouble all the time. I can hear Fran and Emily and Grant like, oh my gosh, shut him up. No, but that's natural development. You've seen how amazing it's been in Spain. Angel and team. We had, DEKA fits in Australia this year. We'll have more next year. You're going to see. I love our growth in Ireland with the stables team down South Dublin, and that we're starting to get more affiliates in Ireland. We've got probably 15 affiliates in Spain now. You're going to see 5 to 6 additional countries in 2026 adopt the affiliate program. Look what happened in Italy this year with the trifectas, and there's some really neat stuff happened in Italy. You've got Italian flags all over the map. I think that's a big thing. If you go to the World Championships 22, 23, 24, and now 25, you go from having just pretty much U.S. flags and a couple that are sprinkled to more and more. And now this year, it's just littered with probably 20 plus different flags, and we love that. That doesn't happen if you don't have gyms hosting events at the affiliate gyms and DEKA fit events. Jack and I were working on some fun stats, and Emily and I are working behind the scenes to create some really fun gamified scoring things where you're able to pit countries and continents against each other in a really fun way. And then we all meet up and celebrate fitness together at World Champs. But to answer your question, Jude, really in a more precise manner, ultimately the goal, you'll hear us talk a lot about 3,000 plus affiliates worldwide, hosting over 10,000 plus DEKA Strongs, DEKA Miles, DEKA Atlas, the team competitions, the ruck competitions, where thousands or tens of thousands of people are within a very short drive or even a walk to that gym event on a Saturday. And then what happens in between those most of our gyms will host 3 to 4 events a year. So now you got 3 to 4 months of training in between those events. Well, now that training, which was ultimately one of our goals, has so much more purpose to it. You'll never hear me say, let's go exercise or work out. We're going to go train because I've always going to have something bolted on, an event bolted onto my life that I know it's coming up, spend a little money. And that's, most of those happen inside the gym, and they're for all levels.
You've hinted at what you mean there, Yancy, but could you just kind of kind of double down on that, what you mean by the distinction between working out and training. I think that's an important one.
Yeah. So we talked about, the ultimate sport of life. So one, that's kind of the if anybody says I'm not an athlete, that's the one thing that allows us coaches to say, no, training timeout, waving the BS flag. You are an athlete because at a minimum, we need to be training for the sport of life. But when you have an actual gamified sport, DEKA, and the gym that you go to, or, I go to this gym and I bring a friend in and they compete in it, and it's got a leaderboard. I'm getting a medal hung around my neck. I'm getting the t-shirt. I can repeat the exact same thing and see my score improve. My 3 to 4 months of training in between, being selfish with my time, 3 to 4 days of the week, I go to the class. Okay. And then I get that box checked. My coach told me when I became a member, when I first walked in here, if you'll give me 3 to 4 days a week, give me some of your time, be a little selfish with your time, you're going to get better. My first DEKA Strong was 42 minutes. 2 years later, I've done it 4 times and I'm now doing it in 19 minutes. I am an athlete. Look at my improvement. Going from a 42 to a 19, I use those numbers because we've seen stuff like that happen. And now you got people, they were doing it 5 years ago. Now they're going to be competing at world championships, and they were a hot mess back in 2021. Now they're at worlds. It's like, that's a beautiful transition of slowly becoming a better version of yourself and just checking that box of look at my time, look how it's improved. This is a test where 35 other gyms on the same weekend did the exact same test. And there was a live leaderboard at my gym. And then a week later, those 35 events populated the global leaderboard. And in my 50 to 54 age group, did I climb? Did I drop? How much time did I improve? It's really, where do I stand globally? It's a sport. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
So are you saying that the difference between working out and training would be intention? So then if you have the intention to improve at an objective sport, say, for example, instead of just, losing 10 pounds, which is a good goal in itself, you don't have to train to do that. You can just exercise. So are you saying that in order to train, the differentiation is the intention behind it?
Yep, absolutely. So if we're going to a DEKA class today, one of our gyms in the UK, our Great White down in Cayman, any DEKA affiliate gym, and as the coach coaching the class, if we've got box step overs, the row, and the air bike in there, this is not about looking better than a bathing suit, losing a few pounds or inches, breaking a sweat. This is about training. I tested, it took me 2 minutes and 30 seconds to do my 25 cals. What am I going to be able to do it this time? Okay, I pulled 27 seconds off. That stuff starts to resonate. People start to pay attention to the numbers and the stats. The people that used to not they could care less about the stats. The coach can able to mess that stuff in just gradually without forcing it on them. And the light bulb moments come on. And so it doesn't matter if we're going to a DEKA class, a WoDLETE class, a High Rocks class. We're able to put some structure. Or I'm seeing, hell, Jason's building a gym that's going to be meshing WoDLETE, DEKA, and High Rocks together. How cool is that? All kind of similar concepts. We just kind of have a little different model. But yeah,
sorry, that was super key. What did you just say?
Jason's building like an institute. It's amazing, man. I love that guy. Shout outs to Jason.
Wow.
We have so much in common. He's building an institute where you're going to be able to go do DEKA classes, WoDLETE classes, High Rocks classes, a mashup.
Wow.
And plus the guy is just an exercise physiology genius up here. He can just, I've as we were saying in the preview of the podcast, I just finished his book. I'm writing the forward for his book. It's amazing. Freaking stop what you're doing right now. The moment that book comes out, you buy it and you freaking read it. If you're a PE teacher, a health coach, a mom or a dad that wants to graciously push fitness on your kiddos, anybody, a gym owner, any coach, anybody 1% interested in fitness, it's the book that you need to read over all books. So trust me on that. So shout out to Jason. But yeah, he's building it's going to be a brick and mortar like institute where you can go just participate in all things functional fitness, hybrid fitness.
Up in Macclesfield.
Mm-hmm.
The home of hybrid fitness.
Exactly. According to my interview with him before. Yep.
Yeah, we're working on some fun stuff together. At the end of the day, when you're on a similar mission, you could. I tell gym owners this all the time. it would be really easy for like Jason and I to be button heads, or, it's ultimately, we're all in the same business, dealing the world's most powerful drug, fitness movement and exercise. We've seen it change and even save lives. That's why we love what we do so much. We're going to partner together in various ways and serve. We have the opportunity to get our messaging out there and serve more. And same with gyms. There are so many people within your 3 to 5 kilometer radius. In the fitness space, like, you need to own that 3 miles to 5 kilometer radius. That's always going to be where 90+% of your money, your revenue comes from. So own that space. So don't look at the competitor gyms. Find a way to partner with them. I know that sounds crazy, but don't forget, 70 to 80% of people in every community globally, I shouldn't say globally, I know in the US and several other countries, that's the stats, they've never even freaking had a gym membership. That's who our focus needs to be. What do we do to get them in here to enjoy some of this fitness?
Jason spoke about that quite a bit when he was talking about you and also about Hyrox, and saying, on the one hand, yeah, of course, in this one sense, we're competing. But on the other hand, that the greater business opportunity, as Jason was describing, and as you are describing it, and for Mo and Hyrox, isn't other people's fitness races. It's the vast majority of people who'd be up for it, but aren't doing anything yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're crushing it. I mean, damn good and well, at some of their locations, you talk about Hyrox, there's probably several thousand people that bought a ticket that are nail-biting nervous. A friend talked them into going, and that's a beautiful thing. And that's 1% kind of hard for me to say, but dude, fist bumps. I know firsthand, it doesn't matter how much support you have, how much money you have. We kept ours going with baling wire and duct tape, as we say as an old Texas farmer. The budget had just a few pennies in it, and we held it together. Anybody doing this, anybody in the event space, it's hard freaking work. It is hard. It's 7 days a week. It's 8 days a week, 25 hours a day. It's really tough. So props to all of our competition. It's a fun movement right now, and it's on us. It's on all of us. We need to do it in a way where 10 years from now, it's like, oh, that was a cool thing. No, 10 years from now, it needs to be bigger and stronger, and millions of people have been touched. That's why you have to get up, you got to strap on your freaking boots, and you got to go. You got to push forward, full steam ahead. Because if you don't, shout out to our team in Europe, man. Shout out to our team in Australia. Shout out to the team in Spain. Shout out to Italy, Canada, Mexico. Our very first DEKA event is this in a couple weeks in Mexico. Shout out to everybody back in 2019 and 20 when nobody would. Oh, Joe was the only one that believed in us. Joe was like, and even when COVID smacked the what out of us, and we didn't have 2 pennies to rub together, Joe's like, I believe what you guys are doing. We're going to find a way to keep the lights on through some really freaking rough times. And, you just got to keep putting that best foot forward. And you eventually get to a place where you can take a breath, like, oh, we're making a few dollars now. And, we can relax a little bit and start to have a little more fun with this. But yeah, if it's Hyrox or Deadly or us or anybody else in the business, just keep putting your best foot forward, man. And don't, you can't ever, you're always going to have the naysayers and the 10%ers slapping you around on social media and hammering on you. And you just can't, what does Joe Rogan say? You got to post and ghost. Post and ghost. Don't look at the comments, just post and ghost.
First of all, yeah, I was going to say, first of all, shout out to whoever this Joe guy is. Sounds pretty something. But what I wanted to go a little bit into were sort of the stations in DEKA. What was the thought process behind sort of each one of them? And for example, why is lunges first? Why is devil's press last? Stuff like that.
Yes. And this was so much fun. And we, I wish Jared was on the call with me. My brother, Jared Cogswell, who I met coaching the U.S. Army together for the U.S. Army Boss Strong program in 2018. Just an amazing fitness pro, general manager and startup manager for Lifetime Fitness. Lifetime, they're the industry standard in the club space. He was the first person to join the team with me. And in that old abandoned Kmart, multiple times we talked about, 5-10 years from now, if a bunch of exercise physiologists and strength coaches and just people that love fitness and are like passionate about the science of it, we wanted them to say, you know what, they did a good job with how the event flows. It makes sense. It has a lot of purpose to it. It wasn't just spitballing. So we played with jockeying around until we felt like it made sense. For example, you look at zones 1 through 5 versus 6 through 10. 6 through 10 are all full body. Everything's getting hit, man. Everything. Farmer's carry, looked at one of the most full body functional fitness. I mean, everything is getting taxed. 7, slapping the crap out of you. Chest, tries, back buys, legs, core, the aerobic system, everything, depending on how you attack it. So zone 6 is the farmer's carry, 100 meters. Zone 7, 25 cows on the, AKA the murder bike, Satan's chariot. It's got all the crazy names. It would have been very easy for me to put that zone 1, right? That would not have made any sense. It wouldn't have made any sense. I wanted it to be like a warm up. The dark alley beatdown is coming. I'm about to go in the dark alley and I see some eyes in there and they're about ready to, I got to fight through that dark alley. There's a faint light at the end of the tunnel. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 is that dark alley beatdown. Zone 8, the dead ball shoulder overs are the yoke or wall over. You're lifting up a heavy weight. And by this time, and you look at anything like zone 8, for example, put it zone 1 or 2. It's not that hard. But you've had your ass kicked, man. And now you're on zone 8 and you're lifting up a heavy. It's a good functional lift. You have to have good mobility, not a crazy heavyweight. You got to get it up over that shoulder. It's like going to the farm where Yancy grew up on. We're going to just do some farm work. Again, if I brought a friend in from the city in and he goes to the work on the farm with me, I'm not going to have to teach him how to do anything. I might be a little more efficient at these lifts and work than him, but he's going to get more efficient as the day goes on. So, and then we move on to the 100 meters of push-pull with the magnetic sled, true full body. I love how the push and the pull is incorporated into the same zone. And then burpees, there's a special story to burpees. Joe has always said that the burpee is the greatest exercise on planet Earth. I call it training.
Do you hate anyone over 6 foot? Do you hate all of us over 6 feet tall?
Well, here's the deal, man. From an exercise physiology perspective, let's talk about why the burpee by itself leaves out. It's not the greatest. But when we add the weight, well, now we're pulling weight from the ground. We're transitioning that weight almost to like a clean, it could be a fluid snatch. Okay, so now we're getting some overhead press. So we're getting the deltoids overhead press in there. So the argument could be, show me why the weighted burpee is one of the greatest exercises on planet Earth, training movements. You could say, well, every joint is used, every muscle group is used, and it takes you on that dark alley beatdown. And perfect in zone 10 so it doesn't matter how good of a race you've had, it could all fall apart. And I've seen it completely fall apart in zone 10 where somebody comes in 15 seconds ahead and they lose 30 seconds and lose the race by 15 seconds because they haven't trained it. And it's like they suck so bad. They're so terrible.
So Jude asked the question, can you tell us about the reasoning for the order of the stations? And just to summarize, the reasoning for the order of the stations is you're a complete sadist. Is that fair?
Well, going back to, and I've kind of sprinkled in a little bit, but 1 through 5 are a warm-up. Right. We're doing a basic, so the order, let's take Yancey's ADD brain and really answer your question. Zone 1. We're going to do an alternating reverse lunge. You drop something at the house, or you need to reach down and pick up your 1-year-old toddler. You're going to kneel down, okay? You're going to have the burden of the weight, and you're going to stand up out of that lunge. It is something we've been doing our whole freaking life. It is the most basic functional movement. I need to be able to get that knee down behind me so I can get down low in a functional manner. And then I'm going to alternate.
When you were 1, I didn't bend down. I just grabbed your shirt and yoinked you up with my hand. So that was different. But
that's why you didn't create DEKA Station 1. That's why Yancy did that.
Well, if Jude was laying on the ground right now and I had to pick his ass up, he's a little bigger now.
What are you saying?
Hey, what'd you run, a 33 minute? What was your DEKA fit time, Jude? 33?
Just over 32.
32. Yeah, that's fast. You do a sub 36 and you're a badass. So that's a very fast time. We'll see Jude at World Championships this year.
Definitely not getting over the 32 mark. Thank you.
And then rowing, Rowing, just a good traditional movement that's, now we're sitting down, good functional movement, but it's not really full body. So you're getting some legs and some pull, and it's something you can work on and get more efficient at. The box step overs, we're going back to the legs. We're working in some balance and coordination. One of the things I love the most about 3 is I caught so much freaking grief. Oh, for like 2 years, I caught so much grief because people were like, they're so used to having CrossFit on the brain, and you jump up and over the box. And that's what you do. It's like, well, I wanted 99% of the world to be able to do it. And
Right.
ultimately, I knew because we were testing 1,000+ people at the Old Abandoned Kmart in 2020, I knew that most people were going to, once step over was allowed, it was a more functional movement. We weren't going to have people bleeding all over the place and falling and breaking things. And it requires amazing hip mobility and balance and coordination. You look at times now with people that started doing it in 2021, 22, and how fluid they are. Zone 3 alone has turned people into better athletes. They have better athleticism because of that one specific zone. You get some nice transverse movement with the rotation of the body as you're coming up and out of that box. I love that. I would say now 99% of people step up and over. It's more efficient, saves more energy, and it's so fun to watch people be athletic on that. So that's the first one we work in balance and coordination. The med ball setup.
With that one, sorry, with the station 3, the reason I like that so much is something like a rower, you can have a really efficient technique, be the same fitness level as someone, and only beat them off a 500-meter row by two seconds, maybe, if you have really efficient technique. But if you have really efficient technique on a box step over on the same fitness as someone who doesn't, either you smoke them or you come off at the same time and they've wasted so much energy, their next run is awful. So I think
true.
that one, in terms of skill, is so key because you can be so much less fit than person A, but if you have better technique, you will be so much better on that, more so than almost any other station, I think.
Yeah, it's a great point, man. And it really goes back to that story of going back to the farm. By the time my high school years, I was very efficient at working on the farm. I got very efficient at using my body to work on the farm. People are getting very efficient at getting through those zones, and that's a beautiful thing to watch. Seeing people get faster and come off and watching their heart rate and coming off of 2 and 3, just like you said, with a really, maybe their zone 3 2 time and zone 3 time is the same it was 2 years ago, but now their run time after is 10 seconds faster because they got out of that zone with a lower heart rate. Zone 4, I really wanted to tax the core early in the event because that nothing slaps your running ability around like, a taxed core. But so with the sit-ups, DEKA Fit may be slightly more than strong and mild, but you're using your arms and your core. And it was so one of the things I heard often, we would interview people after Jared and I would test them almost every night at the Old Abandoned Kmart, and they're like, the number one question we almost ask is like, what zone did you feel affected on the run the most? And a lot of people said after zone 4, and it made a perfect sense because I hit my core and my arms, and I just felt lethargic. And that when you tax the core, man, the running form can fall apart. So you train your core, you get better. It doesn't tax you as much. Your running gets better after zone 4. So it's the first one that really hits the core and the arms at the same time. Zone 5, we're getting that big pull. And in a sneaky fashion, you did that crunch movement in zone 4 and you get that crunch pull. So really we hit the core back to back. So you hear a lot of people
on
talking.
The ski erg.
Yeah, the ski. And again, just like the row, another one where you get more and more efficient at it. But the ski, I would argue as much or more than the row, is just such a phenomenal movement. One, you're getting up nice and high, so you really activate the lats, that crunching motion. There's so much. Ski is one of those where you'll have maybe the best ski you've ever had, but you'll never watch a ski and say that was the perfect ski. You have to manage it and do the best you can. Your form falls apart a little bit. You have to get refocused. You'll watch people like kind of have a roller coaster ride of mechanics on the ski. It's just a fun one to watch. Really, and then we get into zone 6, where it's the first one where I would say is truly full body. And then 7, 8, 9, and 10 are all full body. So I don't want to say that 1 through 5 was designed to be a really good functional warm up, but I do find myself using that a lot over the past 6 years as kind of the reasoning. I'll tell you a fun story on zone 4. In the old abandoned Kmart, everybody's like, Yancy, why didn't you just go easy? Make everything 30 reps or everything 20 reps. It's like, well, that's not, if you're really trying to make it make sense, that's not how you design something. Just perfect numbers. You design your rep and your weight count around exactly what's happened internally in the body, mentally and physically, to the person when they're testing it. That's so go ahead.
That's what I'm saying. It's whether your priority is to optimize, biologically an optimal race, or if you want to just make it easy. And obviously, I think, way more prefer the whole biological preference in terms of prioritization instead of just making it easy to think about. So I like that.
So why it landed at 25 that's interviewing hundreds of people and doing it multiple times a week, myself and Jared. And we were like, gosh, and it was like, we're going to catch grief from this, but it needs to be 25. 25 was perfect. And 30 felt like, oh man, 20 just didn't feel like quite enough. So it's that one weird number because of all those interviews and all that testing. That's why it was 25, because from a physiological perspective, it felt right. So
a lot of trial and error and a lot of thought went into not only the order, but also the reps of each station as well.
Oh, and the weights, man, the weights. My gosh, we tried so many weights, and you look back on it, and it's like I really feel like we got very close to just nailing it, because the three of us could roam the streets and find as many 100-pound overweight people we could find that don't have fitness in their life, bring them in, and maybe with a little bit of lifting mechanics work, but no matter what, 99% of those 1,000 people, we're going to get them through every zone with that exact weight. But Jude can run a 33, and that exact weight is going to feel heavy to him because his heart rate's at about 160, 170. And he's taxed, and he's hit it really hard. So yeah, that 60-pound weight doesn't ever feel easy on zone 8. That weighted burpee doesn't ever feel easy. That 20-pound med ball always taxes your core. That 60-pound, Jude's running with that 60 pounds in each hand on the farmer's carry, but it still feels heavy because he's running with the weight. His heart rate's spiking and his grip, so the blood is thumping all over the body. So the grip it almost feels like he's carrying 90 pounds because he's going this real fast pace. But most males can deadlift 120 pounds, and most females can deadlift 80 pounds. If you can deadlift that weight, guess what? You can do zone 6 if you can simply do the deadlift. You may have to place it down and rest multiple times. So that was, it was, oh man, it was like going to the lab. And we could have really half-assed it, but without the lab, there's no way. I mean, it was a true 3 months of testing. It was in the middle of Denver, Colorado in the wintertime with leaky roofs, snow melting during the day and water dripping in, and us mopping up water, and people coming in like, you sure this place is safe? That was the lab, dude. That was the lab.
Does that abandoned Kmart still exist?
They tore it down. I had an old affiliate call me. We were on a call, an affiliate call a while back, and he's like, Yancy, they tore down the old lab.
No.
Yeah, good memories.
You need to get a special plaque put up there, man.
Check this out. We had probably 10, 15 high-level CrossFit Games athletes come and test it. And they were, props to them. I mean, you look around, and it was bad. And the zones were set up, but they came in and tested. Fit Aid brought them in. Shout out to Fit Aid back in the day. They brought them in, and we had an amazing couple days of testing with the CrossFit.
And that's what, definitely, I think that's what's cool is that, like you said, the majority of people in the world can do the weights that are selected in DEKA. And if your intensity is appropriate, even elite athletes at some point, despite their top end strength being way heavier than the actual weights, if their intensity, if their fatigue is at a point in which they're pushing themselves, it can feel heavy for them too. Like deadlifting 120 pounds, like for the majority of the elite athletes, is not difficult. But, in station 6, after, already 15 minutes of being in zone 5 with your heart rate, it's going to feel heavy, or it's going to feel challenging to run with, or something like that.
Yeah. How cool to that point. How freaking cool is it that we've seen so many like 5, 10K, 15K runners, half marathoners. They're amazing runners. Well, like, what's this whole hybrid thing going on? Well, they come in, they get their ass handed to them for a while. Their running looks good for the first couple runs, and then their 500-meter runs drop off dramatically. The hybrid athletes crushing this 14:30 5K guy, or 16 flat 5K female, who's getting crushed by the person that's an 18-minute 5K and 19-minute 5K. And then that person decides, like, wait a second, I like this sport. Let me go to the gym. Let me start training. So now they put on 10 pounds of lean mass. Well, now we've got people that I would argue that if all you're doing your whole life is running, that, okay, you're going to wake up at, let's say you get injured or something and you're coming in from a tough injury and you have to stop running. Well, what am I going to do? Well, now you wake up and you're 60 and all you've been doing is running. I'm not hitting on the runners. I'm a runner myself, but I would argue that you're going to have a higher quality of life because of that 5-10 year training cycle you did getting ready for the hybrid space, and you fell in love with it and you kept that hybrid engine going. And you I kind of like the way I look and I see myself in the mirror, and I'm strong. Anaerobically, aerobically, I have good strength. I'm well-rounded. I think it's a non-debatable. If you're a really good deadly DEKA or high rocks athlete, or all three, you are a better well-rounded athlete than just a runner, or even just a triathlete. Again, no shade to the runners and the triathletes, but do all of it. But I'm telling you right now, which new sport is training you to really enjoy the second half of your life and be ready to say yes to everything this beautiful rock of ours called planet Earth? Like I said, be ready to say yes. The hybrid space, man. The hybrid training athlete is gonna really, it's a good, well-rounded body of fitness, man.
And that's the thing to all the runners out there. Like Yancy said, we're not trying to make you hybrid athletes. You run. But at the same time, if you asked Kipchoge or you asked Noah Lyles, is the only thing you do run? No. You see clips of Kipchoge, you see clips of Lyles in the gym, deadlifting, Bulgarian split squatting, unilateral strength, working one side of the body at a time is so important. Not just so that your, life quality, like you said, improves later on, but also just because it makes you better at running, makes you better at sport, makes you less likely to get injured. Strength training has so many benefits. You don't have to convert from being a runner to a hybrid athlete. Do what you want to do. But to get better at that, you need to do, a bit of strength training, get yourself a little bit stronger as well.
That's a good job setting me straight. That's a great point, dude. Go ahead. You nailed it. I mean, and when you look at our team's competition, let's say you are that. I mean, I would love to see like a Kipchoge come in and partner with like a cross. The way we designed our team competitions, I wanted it to be insanely fast. If you look at our 2-person teams and our 4-person teams, Jude could partner with the best runner in the UK, male or female, and he or she could do most of the running, and Jude could do most of the zone work. Or you could partner with Ryan Kent, and you guys would have you divide it all up. But I love the fact that you can have an literally Olympic level runner come in. So the first and the last runs have to be done together, but the middle 8 runs, that Olympic level runner or that local badass that can drop a 15-minute 5K, he or she can do those entire 8 500s by themselves. And when you see that happen, dude, it's insane to watch in the arena. They're dropping 3:20 mile pace at 500-meter repeats, and it's electric to watch. So
if we could fix up a Kipchoge and Roman Krennikov duo, that would be pretty special. Then
I was going to say, you related to that. Sorry, Yancy.
Yeah.
If you could make your DEKA Fit dream team, Ryan Kent, Eliud Kipchoge, Noah Lyles, 2 people to do a DEKA team event, who in the world would be the best male and female duo, do you think?
Oh, man. Well, obviously, all the stats show us that it is so close. We've seen the the Rich Ryans and the Ryan Kents partner together, the Rich Ryans and the Bridget Browns and the Lauren Weeks where they're like just the perfect balance of running and strength and zone work. And then we've seen Olympic level athletes partner with that badass zone person like a Kevin Gregory. Think of a Kevin Gregory type that can just, DEKA strong world champion to his resume. It's so close. You literally don't know. I mean, it's going to be within seconds. So let's create the perfect team. On a female side, you'd have like let's say a Lauren Weeks and a Lauren Griffith, something like that. On the male side, you'd have like a Hunter and a Ryan or any of the top 10 DEKA and Hyrox athletes out there. You put them together, Rich Ryan, Dylan Scott, who can do it all. But then on the other side, you take that Olympic, I would take an Olympic 1,500 meter champion, male or female, and for the male or female, and then you put them with a true CrossFit athlete. But even more important, like Lauren Weeks, who's a lot of people don't realize she was a very high level CrossFit Games bubble athlete who decided to get into the Spartan space, the hybrid space, the TMX space, and is still a great CrossFit athlete. She's going to move better in DEKA zones and Hyrox zones and still has that CrossFit engine and strength capacity. So you put Lauren Weeks with that insane runner. And I don't know, man, I what we've seen is that when that runner, that Olympic level runner has to do the entire 500, they're about the same pace as like a Rich Ryan and a Ryan Kent dividing it up and also dividing the work. So Rich Ryan and Ryan Kent dividing the work, or Lauren and a Lauren dividing the work, is going to end up being as fast, maybe faster than that CrossFit athlete that's doing the 100% of the row or 100% of the ski or 100% of the sled push or the shoulder over. So it's such a balance, man. I mean, it naturally happens a lot. You'll see it at World Championships, the different type of teams. And now with 4-person teams and 3 different ways to divide up the running, we've had a lot of fun testing that out. 2 years from now, when that's really taking over as like a neat piece of DEKA, we're going to have all of our US events in 26. It's just, I love the concept so much. It was so fun to work on that and plan and scheme and test. So really excited about you guys running some 4-person teams, Jude, in 26.
That would be sick. I'm looking forward to that. So then if I was to then put you on the spot, like you said, so you have Team A, you have Rich Ryan and let's say Ryan Kent, okay, that's Team A. And then you have Team B, which let's say coming off the back of the Lifetime Games is Noah Olsen and let's say Yard Nagus or Cole Hawker. Team A or Team B, who are you taking to win DEKA team?
Oh my gosh. You said Roman and Cole Hawker?
Noah Olsen or Roman and Cole Hawker.
Noah would be a good one because Noah does move well.
He does.
Cole Hawker would freaking watching him. Oh, and who was my who was
you're also bearing in mind Rich Ryan and Ryan Kent, obviously they've got the experience. They're more efficient at DEKA than both, obviously. I don't know, Yard Nagus and Roman or Noah Olsen versus them.
Hopefully we can create some controversy here. If I'm going to Vegas and I have to bet on this, I'm putting my money on Rich and Kent. Rich Ryan and Ryan Kent.
Wow.
I'm going to put my money on them every time. Just because of the way they've been training. Now, if I had a chance to train Cole and Noah for like a 3-month mesocycle of training.
Yeah, you get 3 months.
If I could have 3 months with that team and Rich and Ryan are overdoing whatever they want, I might shift the way I bet in Vegas. Yeah. Because we're going to be able to plan and scheme. And it is so funny watching people at the start line. They've got their Sharpie notes on their forearm of how we're dividing stuff up. They got their quarterback sleeves. You ever seen like a Tom Brady quarterback sleeve? So he's got his, they've got those on their arms, and it's like, and then sometimes, like Mike Tyson says, you get punched right in the face and our plan goes right out the damn door. But sometimes you stick with it. Nick Riker and I ran a 26 together, still one of the probably top 20 fastest times ever. We had a great plan. Nick put together a great plan and we stuck with the plan. So there's a lot of factors, but I would love to have 3 months with Cole Hawker and Noah Olson training them for a DEKA 2-person teams. Man, that would be fun.
I'll let him know. I'll let him know.
Do that, brother.
That is a great Tyson quote, though. Everyone has a great plan until they get punched in the face. It was a caveated answer then to Jude's ultimate controversial question. So it's your Rich and Ryan now, but given 3 months under the Culp tutelage, and your CrossFit and your Run a Guy are winning.
Shout out RMR. Yancy's got faith in you. Wow.
Rich and Ryan right now, their improvements, and I think they would both agree with it. Their improvements are very tiny. You're buying microseconds here and there. You could see some dramatic improvement from Cole and Noah. But if the race is happening Saturday, I think Noah and Cole are going to get their ass handed to them.
But I mean, also, would you say that Cole has a huge room for improvement because his part in the DEKA teams event would be exactly what he does now?
Yes, and that's what we hope to see as Hyrox and DEKA continue to grow and Deadly, and they continue to grow. There are naturally going to be, it might not be a Nagoose or a Cole Hawker level, but imagine the D1 athlete that was like 1% behind them that's now just the lawyer, their corporate employee, and they're like, I get a second lease on life. Yeah, I used to run a 13:28 5K or a 3:40 1,500 meter, okay, 3:35 1,500 meter, and now I decided to train for a couple years for hybrid, and he or she is 10 pounds bigger than they used to be. That's going to be a very dangerous athlete. Very, very dangerous, because they're going to get really good and efficient. Yeah, they may never be pulling, a 135 on the row, but with a good coach, they're going to get really efficient on all the things. And boy, that freaking 335 and 1330 running engine, you just don't wake up and make that happen. That's some amazing genetic ability. You've seen a lot of former college level runners that just get a second lease on life, and now they get a new sport in their 30s and 40s. I love these conversations, man. It's fun stuff. As
we close it up, something I asked Jason, I'll try and ask everyone that we get on that represents or runs a different sport, is what do you think separates DEKA from the rest? So on the one hand, you and Jason and Mo and everyone else are going, hey guys, just do all of these things, and you're better off trying multiple hybrid races rather than just doing one all your life anyway. But if someone's to say, okay, I'm actually quite content doing these things over here, what would you say, Yancy, is the differentiator that makes DEKA the greatest hybrid fitness sport?
And I appreciate that question because it means a lot to me. The best answer I can give you is our true vision and passion and reason for doing what we started back in late 2019. And it's still true today. 99+% of our focus is and always will be on that gym owner that decided to pinch their pennies and save some money and get their brick and mortar started. They fell in love with fitness for some reason. Maybe they went to a class, and then they've always loved anatomy, physiology, and this exercise physiology, and they love coaching. They're motivational, and like I need to be able to do this as a career. So they pinch their pennies together. They get that brick and mortar started. They get their clients, their members. They hire a couple coaches, and they're dealing the world's most powerful drug. The work they are doing in their communities, like I said, is one of the greatest acts of service that's happening in communities today globally. And to be able to serve them with a fitness competition that really checks the box and allows them to test their people, okay? And ever so often show and just have those emotional moments like, I told you so. You just give me those 3 to 4 days. Come to class. I told you, your life, it's going to be a life changer for you. And even in some cases, it was a lifesaver for some of those people. I'm speaking for every gym owner on planet Earth and every coach. They know exactly what I'm talking about when I say this. And I'm passionate about it. That will always be our foundation. That will always be the strong foundation. It's got a lot of rebar in it, man. A lot of classes have been taught. It's like that home foundation that cures in 3 to 4 days. Well, a coach's foundation is this beautiful life of coaching, and like every class we teach is like a piece of rebar going in that foundation, and we learn more about humans and what makes them tick and the power of the world's most powerful drug and the power of fitness, and that foundation cures. and you wake up when you're 70, 80 years old and you're so damn happy and that you're standing on that strong foundation of coaching fitness and being just the passion that you get every single day when you walk into a gym and you turn the lights on, and you know people are going to come in there and test. And for us to be able to partner with them, we have no competitors in the gym space. They're all partners of ours, or we hope they're a partner of ours one day. Every type of gym, club, studio, box on planet Earth, we have them all. We have large chains, small chains, franchises, the smallest mom and pops, large clubs, small clubs, chain clubs, mom and pop clubs. We got them all, man, that are affiliated with us. They walk in, they turn the lights on, they train their people, and they empower their members to put their coaching hat on and invite friends, family, or coworkers and neighbors to come to class. I promise you, it can improve your life, maybe save your life. And then we get to test. You know, this is a brand that we've probably spent over $100 million marketing this damn helmet. And if you own a gym, you own this brand. You are the CEO of Spartan DEKA in your community when you bolt us on. There's gyms, Jude in the UK right now. There's gyms all over the UK that own this brand. They're the CEO. I told Joe DeSena the other day, it's like we got 381 CEOs on our team. You, Joe, and the other 380 gym owners that are hosting 1,500 plus events a year, hopefully 10,000 plus events long-term a year. That's why we exist. That is who we are. Yes, we will always host big events. We will celebrate fitness where 200 gyms come together and thousands of people. We love that. It'll be a strong piece of our brand, but we will never, ever step away from the number one reason we exist is that Saturday morning where people walk into that gym, nail-biting nervous. Some of them for the very first time walking into their very first gym, or it's been a long time. Maybe they played sport back in middle school, and now they're 50 years old, and that wild, crazy friend of them talked them into coming into that event, and they finish. And that gym owner sees the tears in their eyes, and the gym owner and the coach, the judge are all crying. They hang a medal around their neck, and they just started their 100-pound weight loss journey. That's who we are at our core. And that's who we will always be. So that when do we get the most excited is when we get a new gym in Spain, in the UK, in Ireland, in Italy, in Australia, in Canada, Mexico, USA. We get a new gym, and that gym is nervous about their first event, and we get them all coached up, and they open up that box of medals and shirts, and they got them folded up, and people walk in. They get them checked in on the kiosk, and they get a scorecard. 30 minutes later, they're out on the course, and in a short time after that, they see their name on a leaderboard on a 70-inch screen. And then they're being told they're an athlete. At a minimum, you're training for the sport of life. And all that comes together, man. And I think the coolest part of the last 5 minutes of me answering your question is I am giving the biggest fist bump on planet Earth and hug to every gym owner, every single coach that is dealing that world's most powerful drug, because they know exactly what I'm saying and how they feel the same passion I feel about why we do what we do. And that's why they're having a good time with DEKA. And just, yeah, so big shout out to all of the gyms and the owners out there that have believed in us and the coaches that speak our language. That's truly I think the best answer. I could kind of off the cuff improv answer I could give you, brother. That's it, man.
I really do drugs, start fitness.
What's that, Jude?
That's it. Do drugs, start fitness.
Hey, it's kind of a controversial. I've been saying that a long time, and it rubs some people the wrong way, but dealing the world's most powerful drug, man. I could have that argument. And there's a lot of people like the Peter Attias and out there that I think they would agree with me. It's more powerful than you get people off the pills and all the injections and the drugs and all the stuff. And, you 100%. You see commercials now about go in and get your GLP-1 shot and lose those 30 pounds quickly. I'm just not a fan of that. I've seen the power of grinding in that class and stacking a good day on top of a good day. And you wake up just like that. And I'm 6 months into this. I'm like, I look better. I feel better. I feel mentally stronger and more resilient. My wife, my kids, my cul-de-sac, my city, my state, my country, my planet is benefiting from the fact that I've been taking better care of myself. It is the world's most powerful drug, man. Yeah, drugs have their place. Actual drugs have their place, of course. But the one drug that we all need, we need to sweat. We need to feel that pump in our muscles. Okay, it is it's addicting. And you two guys know exactly what I'm talking about. That gym pulls you in. That signing up for that race every now and then pulls your ass in. A lot of people have never experienced it. So everybody that's out there in the hybrid space that's doing what you're doing, all of our competitors, man, we love you all. You're doing great work. We got to all keep doing it. So we keep providing that test. It's important to test your fitness a couple times a year because it feels really good when you improve. So man, let's go. Fired up, boys.
And that's the thing. If you think like you're too, inexperienced, overweight, high on drugs, like some of the best current elite athletes in the world were high on drugs 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Oh,
Hunter McIntyre, 3-time world champion. Cole Learn, probably in the elite 15 this or the next year. I mean, you got people that were high, close to death on drugs 3 years ago that are now current, if not world champions, close to it. You're not too far gone. If you're 200 pounds overweight, lose some, and there's always someone bigger than you or older than you or more inexperienced than you that has started and is now in this hybrid fitness space. Even if they're not competing to be the best in the world, they're way better off than when they started. So
Jesse Bruce is one of my favorite stories up in Canada. I think we all have somewhat of an addictive personality, and if we just feed that addiction, my wife knows if I could have like I got 37 minutes before we leave. And she thinks it's like, she gets it. My kids get it, but not everybody gets it. It's like, okay, it's going to take me 2 minutes to drive to the gym, 2 minutes back. So I got 33 minutes. I'm going to go get a 30-minute session in. And it just feels normal to me. I'm slightly addicted to that. I got to get my 4 to 5 days in every single week or I just don't feel right. And would a psychologist say, Yancy, you're a little addicted to that? I was like, probably. But gosh dang, man, it's I'm okay with that addiction.
Yeah, and it gets worse. The more you do it, the more you have to do it.
You guys, I want to give a big shout out to our team, our team here in the U.S., our core team that just Brian, Nelson, oh gosh, Arlene, Cynthia, Robin, Arlene, our European team, Emily, Grant, Fran, Sergio and team, and we continue to grow our teams that are getting to start up across countries or globally. It's such a freaking hard grind. It is such hard work. It never shuts off, and it's so amazing having I was just got off call with Ricardo, one of some of our roadshow managers. Ricardo's our affiliate sales guy here in the U.S. Just amazing people pouring into what we do, and to Joe for believing in us. None of this takes place. None of this is going. We went through hell and back with Joe, who was when I say he was the only one that believed in us, he was the only one. There was a couple people, and it was Joe believing in us. So just shout out to everybody on our team, man. I love each and every one of you, and I appreciate you getting up every day and dealing with some of the hardships we have to deal with and the obstacles we have to get over every day to make sure we keep the lights on. So fist bump to the team.
Awesome.
I hope I didn't forget anybody.
Thank you very much.
We've got a lot of CEOs to list through.
Man, thank you for having me, man.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you so much, Yancy.
Thank you for your time.
You got it, boys.
Thank you very much. Thanks again for tuning in to Hybrid Fitness Report. Next week, we will be talking about Survive the 8, the new UK hybrid fitness race, which had an event this week in Peckham in London, and will also be starting our series on hybrid fitness racing stations. Join us then.